guy Miles Gray on. He has been tearing it up. Miles, how you doing, man?
Doing great, brother. Appreciate you having me and grateful to get the chat.
Yeah. Dude, so you've been working the Strong Point leagues for how long now?
So I took a paternity leave break, but I was ripping them for about 2 months before that, and then now it's been the last couple weeks. So probably 3 months worth of total strong point volume.
Love it. And what has your journey kind of been with Strong Point? Like how was your first couple weeks, and then how do you like kind of ramped up since then?
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a journey because I remember when Strong Point was first released is when I bought my first 2 packs from Strong Point, and to the chagrin of my excitement, I should say, I was thinking this is a magical lead that exists, looking like a typical agent would, at a new thing that's going to solve my problem where I don't have to work and I just get to make money. Like I don't put effort in. It's not the case, right? And on top of that, I had to learn very quickly that you have to treat the strong point lead very differently than a mortgage like age mortgage lead. I kind of answered the phone as a medical underwriter that needed to get it completed, and
Yeah.
they hung up on me and hated it. So I barely broke even on my first one, which I was, it is what it is. I'm grateful that I was able to, be level with it. In the second pack, I just kind of had to figure out a little bit more of an instructional process, more concierge style, and just being more educated on the actual products, so I could build the why and the picture big enough to get a one call close at the time. It was huge.
Do you buy like a 25 pack when you kind of do that?
Yeah. So I'll just get a 25 pack. That's what I've done so far. Because for me, I'm still running some aged at the same time because I have a team with a bunch of new agents. So for me, I want to get the leads, dial some aged, get one or two closes out of them, and just have like, a fresh stack of leads after I pull all the stuff out to be able to give to new agents. Because for us, we're having people within the first couple of days of getting hired, they're doing script training and dialing the phones to book appointments for whoever the manager is for them, so they can start getting paid quicker. So I run a little bit of both. The 25 strong point, and then a couple hundred aged a week.
Yeah. We were kind of talking earlier. You said you've kind of incorporated some AI into your Strong Point leads. What has that done for your business?
It's changed everything, to say the least. I mean, beforehand with strong point, the big thing that, like, the misconception that I had was, back to the medical underwriter, like treating them like an aged lead. I was trying to book appointments for later for the, instant mortgage lead, thinking that that was the style of close that those people were preferred to. And in reality, what all of us have come to learn is the one call close with, strong point is the only way, right? If you're there, they're there, one leg exceptional, like you're going to send something and get it done. Um, it's been a big shift for me to focus more on the psychology of the client to allow me to figure out how to present everything properly, right? My pitch is almost exactly the same, but it's the level of instruction required had to change. And then now, as time has gone on, we've been building the AI company for, since October. So that was a big shift for us, just figuring out that through our data, just testing tons of leads, whether it was aged leads, mortgage, instant mortgage, they're totally different people, which is ironic. So the fact we've ended up realizing is the conversions for the type of person that fills out the strong point lead, they don't want an appointment. They want to just hurry up and get it done. Those people are looking for a service where it's instructional. The video for strong point is just that, it's service level instructional. So our job is to communicate that properly and continue on with that conversation and teaching, and then just provide them options and close. So with AI, the big difference there is, like, I think it was, I can't remember who posted it, but there was a massive test that it was posted about in an InsurTech conference, but they did a million lead study. So across a million leads, like instant, like fresh Facebook, social campaigns, they figured out that the quality and the value, so like the actual value of the lead, the customer acquisition cost attached to that, as soon as it comes in, those leads need to be communicated with and either like closed right away or like have some sort of contact and booked appointments set within the first 30 minutes max to maintain the real lead value. So roughly, I think the stat was around like $250 a lead, regardless of lead type, the quality, the forms, everything else. The number one factor they found was the speed to lead was the key. And then from that 30 minutes on to the next 2 hours, the lead value drops by 50%. And then from 2 hours to 3 days, it drops another 50%. So the issue is for StrongPoint and all instant social media mortgage or any type of lead is agents don't see the lead right away, especially that most people fill those out at night. I'm sure if you've seen your StrongPoint sheet, it's like 2 a.m. in Oklahoma when they're filling out the damn lead. So it's not dialable at that point. So these people want to be contacted immediately to be able to actually have the agent get the highest ROI. So now having the AI do that for you, where I was asleep, I think it was 2 days ago, and I had 6 StrongPoints come in. I woke up and the AI had texted, talked to, answered questions, and then booked the appointment for 4 out of the 6 people. And the other 2 people were talking like in the middle of the conversation. And so that speed to lead conversion has shown like about 50% on average for the show rates for those appointments. So we've just found a bridge where we're able to take the psychology of the client, the preferences that they have, and have AI be the bridge to be able to get agents to actually receive that, the biggest AP possible, the highest amount of conversion on their lead spend, because it's just unfeasible for agents to sit there and monitor a spreadsheet forever.
Yeah.
So it's been for us, we've noticed the clients are way more stoked. They're happy to be there. They appreciate the communication from what we've asked them, that it was expedient and everything else. So we're best favorable situation for the client. And then ultimately, I mean, it's all about the AP. And that's had the highest amount of conversions on that end. It's been ridiculous.
So from the time the agent or the time the client fills out the lead, how long until they get a message back? Is it pretty instantaneous?
So we did a separate like data analysis and figuring out what was like the preferred time.
Yeah.
Overall, we didn't want to have it be sent out instantly because so many people with Facebook ads, we've seen just it was not the same contact rate or response rate if you send it instantly. So we figured out that within 2 minutes, closer to the end of the 2 minute mark is ideal. So everything is timed to where they fill out the form. It's not like a spam type of deal where people hit like a healthcare lead, they hit get quote now and they get 30 phone calls. People are afraid of that, right? So it keeps it more blasé.
Yeah.
Exactly. More blasé, more communicational. And the AI is talking as if it's the agent. Just, hey, just saw your request came in. I'm in the middle of something. I just want to get this taken care of for you. Is it you or your spouse in the home? Anybody else there with you for the coverage? And so it's super low key, keeping it human interaction for the person instead of the perception of, oh, this is one of those automated messages where I can just text stop.
Yeah.
That because reflexively, even if they wanted it, they felt the why, they want the coverage because the ads are so great with StrongPoint. If they get it right away, they're like, no, I always click stop on this. Right. So we pasted it within the first 2 minutes, about a minute and a half ish, till they get that first message. And then the response rate is
so fresh in their mind. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we time the AI to where it responds within 30 seconds. So the AI could, as soon as they say, yeah, me and my spouse, boom, sends a Bible worth of text over to them for everything, right? So we've timed that to where it's more natural. Within 30 to 45 seconds, they'll get a reply as if a person was actually typing it. So that way I've had no clients so far ask if they were actually talking to me or not.
Yeah. What do you think the reason is for the show rate? Because I know historically when I've tried to book them or like just never gotten like a great show rate. What do you think you guys is like
Yeah,
but what do you think secures it?
I'd love to say it's magic and we're just that good, to be honest. It'd be fun to
I
say
mean,
that.
something you guys are doing is working though.
Yeah, I wish I could say it was magic or just the power of what we do. But in reality, I've really tried to think about that. Like, why does this work? And again, I just have to go back to like this is what the person is looking for, and they want to control the process because everyone that fills out a lead form or is emotional about mortgage protection is already on that thin line, and you know it too. Like sometimes when it's too early in an appointment to ask like a hard question, like, well, John, it looks like here your wife's going to be kicked out of the home without any coverage. Like if you ask that day, like in the beginning of the appointment, you might break it, right? You got to build trust first and allow the client to ultimately, what the point is have control. So you want them to feel in control of their own emotions throughout the appointment before you hit them with too hard of a question. Same idea goes with booking the appointments from, this is just my own perspective, is that the client feels like they have control of the process, right? So they're more willing to show up because they're no, I'm not telling them I only have a 4 or a 4:30, which one does not work for you, right? It's when are you available and when is this the best time for you guys to get this taken care of? Perfect. Here's a calendar link to book yourself, right? And my perception is it's just control. The person being able to do it emotionally at their own pace, convenience to them.
And I think again, like you're saying, like that speed to lead within the first couple minutes, not too soon, but then you get them
Yeah.
responding back quickly while they're still looking at their phone, probably still on their phone.
Yeah, most people like from the time the lead comes in, it's within 10 minutes for all the leads. Some people like just due to life are texting, occasionally. So that we'll send them a message, they don't reply, they'll get back to it like later that day, next day. AI follows up immediately as well for you. And it's also set to a drip campaign. So like if they just stop replying, after like a day or so, we just send them another message like, hey, just checking in, like, let's get this finished or find an appointment time. But also the agent has control. So like the agent can just send a text. Like if they see they're just kind of in the middle of booking themselves an appointment, they could just send their own text direct, like, or just dial that person at that point.
Yeah. That's the biggest feedback that I get from agents, especially newer agents, is like, hey, I have 25 and I've only contacted 4 or 5 of them. So
Yeah,
AI is going to be a game changer with that and getting, more contacts without agent having to do much work at all on that part.
absolutely. Because the people that are filling out those forms don't want to be called, is what the data is showing. They don't want a phone call. They want to continue a digital lead process, like filling out the form. They want to continue that digitally through text messages, right? And so they've seen, Malik is absolutely crushing it, running strong point, and that's almost exclusively what he's running. And it's because he's texting every one of his clients as well. Like he dials, goes back into his packs, works crazy hard, and it follows up with text messages, and has had huge success with that. And those are all manual, by the way. So obviously, if they're performing well manually, if you can do that instantaneously and automatically, it'll just continue to perform well.
Love it.
That's just their preference.
That's money.
Yeah.
What is kind of it's kind of shifting gears a little bit. What's your sales process kind of like when you do get them on the phone? What does that kind of sound like to lead them to, like, what is your kind of, is it the same approach as when you're sitting down with a regular mailer? Do you change the process at all?
I keep it super similar. I follow Jonah's in-home script to a T. It's now tattooed on the inside of my brain, which is the where it should be for all agents, with whatever your script is.
Yeah.
The only thing that I do to change it is immediately the first thing that I jump on the phone is just validate credentials. It's like, awesome, John. It's Miles Gray. I'm the medical underwriter for the mortgage protection. It's now still a good time for you. Perfect, it is. Or, is your wife there with you? Awesome, glad to hear it, or not, whatever. All right, first thing I got to do before we get jumped into this is I'm required to get all my license, credentials, and information over to you, just to make sure that you guys have access to me and everything else is good to go. I'll text them my digital business card. I don't use Hi Hello anymore. I just have I had one of my agents, I think he used Canva and just made like a business card that has my NPN, phone number, email, and then the carrier image attached to it. And I just walk them through it. Like, awesome, guys. So do you have that pulled up? Just let me know. I'll just wait. Are you guys looking at it? Okay. So in the bottom left is all the carriers. There's, a handful of them right there. We do have access to over 30 plus A-rated carriers that offer the mortgage protection. My system automatically will go through for you guys and figure out who's going to be the lowest cost with the most amount of benefits that y'all can qualify from these carriers. Does that make sense? Perfect. Okay, now on the right side of the card, the important piece there next to my name is going to be the NPN number. That's my national producer number. It's my social security number for insurance. So that number is connected to my home address, all my licenses in every state, and my insurance and bonding as an agent to be able to go through this type of information to help you guys out get the protection for the home. Does that make sense? Yes, perfect. Also, there's my direct phone number in case the office line's not working because I'm calling them through the AI number. That way you guys have that. And then they're like, oh, perfect, thanks, cute. And then I just go straight into it. So the jumping from there is awesome, guys. I just want to verify a couple things that I had submitted here from you for the request. It looks like you listed, and I'll just answer all the strong point questions. Your beneficiary is this. Okay, perfect. I just do beneficiary broadly. And then I'll just ask them, is this your first time going through the process? Like for mortgage protection.
Yeah.
Whether they say yes or no doesn't matter. Like, awesome. Luckily it's pretty simple. There are only 3 types of insurance you can get on the home. I'll explain the PMI, HOI, and then MPI, obviously, mentioning that the mortgage protection is the only one that protects you from the bank and not the other way around. And that's why we handle it, is to protect and serve families from the banks trying to profit off of their misfortune. Okay. And the process overall requires, and I'll go straight into Jonah's pitch, which is the process overall requires 2 minutes worth of medical questions, 2 minutes worth of financial questions. Based on that and health pre-check, I'll put all that into my system here. And like I said, it's going to come back with the lowest cost for the most amount of benefits that you guys can potentially qualify for. And then my job simply is to figure out what the options are for you guys. Typically, the carriers come back to you with about 3 to 5 options. So you guys just get to let me know what's affordable, comfortable for you, and ultimately how much coverage y'all need. And my job today, all we can really do is submit for coverage. So it does take a day or two for the carriers to be able to get back to us with an approval or denial. So hopefully we can find some options that fit all those to protect the home and submit for some coverage today. Does that make sense? Yes. And then I'll just jump into re-verifying all of the strong point info. Like, all right, I see you're listed your mortgage here is between 0 to 250,000. Do you guys know what that's at today? And then I'll just reference the next piece they provided me. Is that right? And I'm already into the financial questions there. I'm just re-verifying that. And I'll start at the financial inventory top and just work my way down into health, verifying the form. And then a couple key things during the actual presentation. I'll be like, awesome, I have you at 68 years young. Is that correct? Perfect. And then for asking for like pulling information from these clients, instead of being like, now what is your date of birth? I'll simply say, awesome. So can you confirm your date of birth for me? Okay. Yeah. 12/2/78. Okay. Perfect. And same thing with like, what state are you in? I'll change that to, if it's an Ohio lead, like, okay, were you born and raised in Ohio or were you lived somewhere else before? And I'm trying to figure out the answer to that question, but also trying to build connection there. And that's the big thing that I've noticed with this lead type and this client is instead of being so A, B, C, X, Y, Z with the financial inventory, then you probably, top producers understand the more you can actually build a little bit of rapport there and build that connection with the client, the better. So I just use those questions to do so. So I'm simultaneously getting my form filled out, halfway paying attention while they tell me about their life story. That's been a big key. It's just
Yeah,
trying to figure out how to make all your questions conversational instead of more instructional while educating the client.
yeah, that's fire, man.
Yes, sir. So I can continue deeper, but then we'll be closer to the bottom of the financial inventory. It's up to you.
Yeah, no, I think the more detail you give, I think it's perfect for agents that
Yeah,
are working. I think all
for
those
sure.
little huge, they add up, right? Like making the little tweaks back up. So
Yeah, then I'll keep rolling. So when I'm rolling through the financial inventory, I use a rendition of the OG one.
okay.
I've edited this one with a PDF editor to where it's got room for the social, the driver's license, and then I use this as my book of business. I just keep all these sheets. I should probably get an iPad or something, but so I've got all the carriers, state list, and AP and all that tracking. But just so you know what I'm looking at, it's more so the old boxy one.
Yeah.
Uh, but ripping through all of it, the only other piece that I have like a super intentional question with is equity. Obviously, like when you're jumping into the presentation with this type of client, the sooner that you can build on the equity value, the better, because we don't know yet. I mean, they can say no history of cancer or whatever, but they could be lying. Typically, most people are. They think they're going to get a quote afterwards, so they're trying to lowball. Is I'm super intentional with the equity position because I don't know if it's going to be equity protection or mortgage protection. So I'm just leaning on equity regardless. And then if it is mortgage protection, it's a bonus. If it is an equity protection, it's a need and it's already completed. Um, with the equity, I use the same joke every time. Like, awesome guys. So like, that's huge. I don't care if it's 10K of equity. That's amazing, guys. Like, congrats. Like, I'm not even a homeowner yet. But for you guys, the way that I look at equity is that's just your hard work and your sweat equity put up into a number. Does that make sense? And they're like, yeah, they joke about it. Like, so, and especially for most families, unless you own a Ferrari or two, this is going to be the biggest asset that you actually get to leave behind for your kids, right? The number one thing that families can leave behind, but also lean on if they need it. You guys don't own Ferraris, do you? Like, no, LOL, they don't, of course. That's why they're buying mortgage protection. But that huge piece just to have some kind of emotional tie and understanding of the value, because a lot of people get crap in the mail about your home's worth this much, and it just kind of, I've noticed for me, I feel like that almost depersonalizes the equity in their home to
Yep.
people. You just see it as a commodity.
And
So when I'm
everyone knows what equity is either. Like it's weird. Like when I'm talking to clients, they don't know they have you know, piles of cash in their basement, literally like inside their house. So I like how you kind of like lay that out to them.
100%, there's my goal is with whatever I want them to care about, I paint the picture for. If I don't want them to care about it, I don't paint the picture.
Yeah.
So being intentional with equity, paint the picture. When it comes to the life insurance question, I have it edited on here, but it says regular life insurance.
Mhm.
Okay, you don't have anything? Okay, so John, it sounds like if you were to pass, like, and something happened to you, you guys don't have anything at all to be able to take care of the property, your kids, nothing, right? And that's when they'll probably be like, well, I have a 401k, which answers my next question anyways. Like, okay, so aside from the 401k, which does have to go through probate first, there's nothing else that you guys have that'll help them quickly when the property's at the most risk. Because you guys do know that the banks watch for death certificates so they can make more money and foreclose on properties, right? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, they're paying attention to people that pass away, so that way they can check to make sure that you don't owe them money, so they can take your home from you, because banks only make money on foreclosures and interest rates, right? Right. So obviously, if you pass away and you're missing payments, the first thing they're going to do is try and foreclose immediately to make their money. I mean, thank God for the loan, or the banks giving us loans to get homes, but they also have a second business model. And our job is to protect you guys from, them making money on your hard work equity that you built, right? That 200,000 that you have, right? That's for your kids, not for the bank. So we're going to keep it that way. And just kind of, and if they do have insurance, life insurance, like, awesome, just spending it as quickly as possible. If they have, oh, I've got $500,000 for $12 a month, they're like, all right, listen, Linda, somebody lied to you. Always, which is a fun conversation to have. But if they've got a normal policy and I'm writing an equity protection or not, if it's final expense, like, awesome, guys, so that one is specifically and only going to cover burial and final expenses, right? That's why you guys set that up. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So we'll make sure that that stays in place. And great, I'm glad you guys have it. So now let's figure out some options to protect the home. Since you guys are already planning ahead, which most of my clients don't have or plan for, you guys already made one smart financial decision, to protect yourself and your family. Let's figure out how we can close the loop and get the, your burial and the home taken care of. And really, it's just trying to, that's great, get out of here. Because if they have 30K of final expense for, let's say it's $100, and I'm about to pitch them 30K of final expense, more equity protection for $150, there can't be an apples to apples. My goal is to turn that thing into a dove and let it fly away immediately. That's a huge portion. One thing with the strong point leads, because they are with the internet mortgage, they're just more of a quote mindset. So when I'm going through with the health conditions, I'll preface and just be like, awesome, guys. So I'm going to go ahead with the medical questions. What they do is they check the Medical Information Bureau, the MIB, and that'll have your record there, of like the last 10 years. And the way this works is the more accurate I can be on what I put into the system before they do the health pre-check, the lower the costs are going to be. Okay. And I won't push any harder on that. But the reason for that is I've noticed clients like we have 3 rules in the office. I'm sure they're pretty unanimous, but rule number 1 is clients are going to lie to you. Number 2 is they're going to waste your time or try to. And rule number 3 is you can't fix stupid, right? That helps new agents figure their life out. They're pissed. This guy, it made no sense. He wanted it. His wife was going to be homeless and I couldn't close it. Like, hey man, yeah, rule number 2 and 3. And he's probably, also breaking rule number 1. They have a tendency to do all 3 at once. But leaning on that logic, I place it on them to be honest with me. Like, hey, I'm just here to help you get options. Like I said, I'm not a guy that can pick the numbers for you. So if you want it to be cheaper, you need to be honest with me. I'm leaning on the fact that they want it to be as cheap as possible to get them to be honest. Yeah. And that's been huge, because then people are starting to name medications and without me having to ask. They'll be like, well, you know what? Let me go get my basket. I got a basket and a whole list. Let me just go grab that real quick. I want to make sure this is right. Before I'd have to be like, okay, anything else? Yeah. No? Are you sure? Any medications you've taken stronger than an ibuprofen or, I was going to say immunization, an ibuprofen or an antibiotic? And they're like, not a damn thing. And then, I run 2-3 quotes and pre-checks, and next thing you know, checks that they're taking metropolol and insulin. They're like, oh, I forgot. It's like, you don't forget that. You're lying. So I ran into much, much less of that. Which also speeds up my appointments, making it higher close rate because they're not bored to death and more effective asking that question. When it comes to the beneficiaries, are really just overarching through the appointment. I can't remember where I read it, or where it's from, but it's common. It's called FORM for deepening connections with people or strangers. It's family, occupation, recreation, and message. It's basically if you want to get something across to somebody, your message, you need to have these three categories met, or a majority of them, to build your connection. And it sounds kind of offbeat, but these are the three things that people will, to blind strangers, share information about that is open, but at the same time, it's also deeply personal, right? If I ask you, hey, how much money do you have in your bank account? And I'm a stranger, you're like, what? Go, like, reject it immediately. But if you said, hey man, how many kids do you have? I got three. What's going on, man? Like, you're willing to give that information within these three categories to a blind stranger. And so if you go from being that blind stranger during the appointment and you focus on connecting in their family, connecting in their occupation, and what they do for fun, which is recreation, they've just given away the three biggest categories of their lives. And if you ask intentional questions, like when I'm going through the occupation, if they say they're retired, okay, what did you do before? How'd you get into it? What made you start it? Did you like it? How do they treat you? How, why, what? All over the place. When it comes to family and beneficiaries, same thing. How many kids do you have? Okay, gotcha. How old are they? Do they live nearby you? What's their situation? And digging deeper, because they're freely willing to give that away. And if we're in the appointment, they live somewhere, we're in a lull, I always lean on recreation. Okay, God, I know you guys have been there for X amount of years. Like, what do you guys do for fun around the town? You guys hike, or what do you guys do? Recreation. So when you get to the point with social and banking, you're going to receive way less resistance, because you've gone from a blind stranger to somebody that is there, that says they want to help and serve them. But then they have a deeper level where, well, I've already shared my whole life with this guy. The three biggest categories of me, he knows me, and I just gave all that away. And he's sharing back, and he knows he's asking deeper questions. This guy actually cares. And I think, I can't remember who said it, but people don't buy until they know how much you care, right? Or people don't care until they know how much you do. So there's a quote for that,
Yeah, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That, yes,
Yeah,
exactly. So you can sit there and information them to death. It's in one ear, not the other.
yeah,
But if I'm doing FOR, I'm going to get my message through at the end, which is that's when I can hit to my point earlier. Like, when it's too early to hit them with that hard question. If I've nailed all three categories or two really well, and then I hit them with, the John, it looks like here, if he says, I need to think about it, or we don't need this, or, I don't think this makes sense for equity protection. Like, John, like we talked about in the beginning, I don't think you can afford to not have this. You have nothing in place to protect the home.
yeah.
So does that make sense? And he can be, if I don't do FOR and I hit him with that question, he's already on the edge. We either want an FU or a thank you, right? You're going to get the FU. But if you can build FO and R, by the time you hit them with the M and ask them those hard questions at the end, they're more transparent with you on what the actual objection is. On top of the fact, you're more likely to just break through that emotional barrier and actually help and serve that family, because you've built that deep of a connection through those three areas to where your message can land, because they don't know how much you care or care how much you know, but you've already shown them how much you care. So now they want to know your professional opinion. That's been huge.
That's huge. Love that.
And
And I think it's that you seem to have the kind of that balance though too, without going too far into like talking about like almost getting off like we were like I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but like almost having too much like you're getting too much off track where these are just intentional
yes, that
intentional
is super,
questions.
super easy to do, especially for new agents, that you'll feel comfortable when you're connecting. And so new agents will want to do more of that,
Yeah,
right? They'll stay in that connecting zone and talk way too much. And there's a fine line that Jonah's a king at teaching, is like, you don't want to be their friend,
yeah,
right? You're there to help and protect their family. You're not their friend. Like, at the end of the day, you're still going to ask them the hard questions. You need to be, willing to do that. But once you cross the barrier to, I care about you and I'm doing my job, to, hey, we're buddies on the phone, he's going to be just as comfortable to tell his buddy, absolutely not, you're being stupid. But if you keep the posture there, and the way that, I mentally keep track of that is when I'm asking those questions, retired, what do you do for work? How long are you doing it? Okay, and how much do you bring home from that job? Perfect. And I go back to it. Okay, yeah. And what made you want to get into that? Okay, perfect. And, obviously, now that you're not working, do you have any regular life insurance put in place? And just keep going back and forth, right? You can continue the conversational thread, but what you do not want to do is stay on one topic and just keep going on it. Like the goal is hit the the occupation portion, and then go this way, weave in your monthly net income, come back, ask another question, let him tell you more about himself and deepen the connection. Okay, now how does it involve your regular life insurance? Do you have any of that? No? Okay, back to connecting. And being able to do that in a way to where you can continue to fill your financial inventory out, you'll know just tactically looking at your sheet is if you're an agent just sitting there and you're talking, you're over connecting. But if you're actually still writing, and I'm being honest, I probably listen to maybe 12% of what the person is saying when I ask that question. And it should be the same way. Like they're not going to check your knowledge. Like, what did I just say? Never. Not going to happen. So more important, do your job. Keep filling out the damn financial inventory. And I'm not afraid if they're talking about their pet somehow to just be like, that's awesome. So now looking at the heart attack, have you had any of those? No. Okay. Yeah. I just got to do a couple medical questions real quick and keep going. You got to be willing to
In that
be.
control, but not building too much rapport. Getting started like that was my problem, especially when it was all in person. I would leave best friends with them, but not protect them. I would just try to build so much rapport and be like, tell my whole life story. And then at the end of the day, like I did them a disservice because I got too much into rapport building where I'm inviting them to the next picnic, but like, we're not, you know, I
Yeah.
think so that
It's tough for me as
the
well.
balance. Yeah.
100%. But naturally, I just love to connect with people. I enjoy that, like outside of sales. So for me, it was a big wall, and I had to come up with a little mantra for myself. It's like when I'm on the phone, I'm not looking for friends. I'm looking for clients,
Yeah.
and I had to just remind myself, like I'm not looking for friends. Like I enjoy it. I would love to have 17 friends in Ohio and places to stay, and people that invited me over to live in their home. Like great. I don't need any more friends.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I got plenty. I got more than I have time to text on a consistent basis and not feel bad already. I don't need any more. What I need more of is clients,
Yeah.
and that's been the kind of the hard and fast rule mentally that I had to use because I was so guilty. Oh my god, I ran so many appointments where people were like, "Oh man, we're cooking dinner. We wish you were here. We feel like you're with us." Blah blah blah. Yeah, but it doesn't make sense. Sorry, Miles. I'm gonna keep your number, and if you're ever in town, keep mine, and you can stay in my third house. Like I don't care. That does nothing for me and my family to eat or theirs to be protected to keep eating.
Yeah. My favorite like feedback from clients was like, but you're a great salesman. And I'm like, oh gosh, like I'm coming off as a
Yeah.
salesman, like break
Yeah.
my heart, like obviously I'm not if I'm not, if you're not putting a policy in place, but
Yeah, right. It's like my least favorite compliment is you have so much potential. It's like, God, you're not saying anything nice. You're
right.
hurting my I'm talking to you to make money, not because I wanted a friend in Ohio. I say Ohio because I run that state a lot, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's just that way. So sticking to FOR will allow you to have more power in the end.
yeah, that's who
And doing that controlled and tactically, which, ask Jonah how long it took me to figure that out. It's a long time. It's not easy. He'll probably give you some, stories of, 2 or 3 hour appointments with no close, missing
yeah,
other appointments that would have closed. Don't do that.
yeah.
I've been in the deep of it.
Um,
That's pretty much it when it comes to the presentation. There's more little things that I like, word tracks and whatnot, but they're all sporadic. And when it comes to the internet mortgage, I feel like those pieces that I've already shared are the biggest ones that really are just need to be intentionally done from the start. Explaining 3 types, going through credentials, 3 types, explaining what the purpose is, how the brokerage portfolio thing works, least cost, most amount of benefits, like laying out that appointment right up front gives them that mental timeline. They understand. Okay, medical, financial questions. Okay, cool. Health pre-check. You already talked about that. This is next. Benefits and options are last. That has stopped it from being, all right, where's my quote? Right. That helps a lot with that, which is an issue with the strong point leads. Is they're expecting, thank God strong points like, the goat at running advertisements and doing
yeah,
the lead process for us. Because I ran other mortgage protections from other companies, hot mess all stars. I mean, every person that finally ever, if ever, picks up the phone is like, awesome, what's my quote? And I'm like, yeah, actually,
yeah,
like, if you've run those leads, I mean, that's it. They're shopping you.
yeah.
It gets a little tough.
Awesome, man. Well, this has been amazing. I think it's really good. I think a lot of people look forward to with the AI. I think that's going to be an absolute game changer with the contacts. That's the biggest thing is everyone says, look, I close them, I just can't get them to show up. So I think getting the AI incorporated to the quality lead, I think it's a perfect marriage, perfect mix. So I'm excited to see what that's like, man.
100%, and that's going to be out for all agents. I'm not just going to keep it for myself and hide in a corner, during July. So that way, for all the leads with StrongPoint, people have access to that right away. And just for New Wave AI in general, that'll be available for all lead types, not just for StrongPoint, because StrongPoint needs it, but everyone does.
Absolutely. All right.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Hopefully, people got some value.